Hi, I think it's about time I spoke about the subject, at least a little bit. I have a disclaimer to make here. I don't follow Northern Ireland politics in depth, probably not as much as I should, given that I was born there, and obviously the province means a lot to me, but I don't follow it in depth. I focus on a lot of other things. I focus on my own life. I focus on things going on in the world, but over this Easter period, once again, there has been violence in Northern Ireland. And most recently, yesterday, um, this violence has escalated once again. A bus was hijacked or taken away, stolen, set on fire. Numerous police officers injured. It just feels like history repeating itself. And for what? To be quite honest, it doesn't really matter what the motivation is for this because it could be Brexit, it could be disagreement over the border issue. I think that we could look for reasons for it, specific reasons, and in the end of the day, what really matters is preventing it. I support the police 110% in this situation because these jobs are dragging Belfast and Northern Ireland more broadly backwards. Now, I believe I'm optimistic about the people of Northern Ireland. I think that the vast majority of people, there's about 2 million people in Northern Ireland, the vast majority of them don't want to see this. You probably have a hardcore of a few dozen people causing the violence out of 2 million people. But unfortunately, that's the image that's projected to the world. And rioting in Belfast, or rather, rioting is almost a byword for Belfast. And it's really sad because it's a city of my birth, but I'm genuinely proud of it. It's a city with a rich maritime heritage. It's a city with some beautiful architecture, cosmopolitan city. More recently, of course, it's notable as the filming location of Game of Thrones, which I don't really watch, but obviously it's a very successful series. So Belfast is a great cultural city, but to see to see this is just it's also familiar yet very depressing at the same time. And what troubles me is a lot of the rioters are teenagers. These are kids who were born after the Good Friday Agreement. They don't even know the full sort of sectarian conflict that went on then. They weren't in that. Um, I do think that there will be question marks over the parenting. I mean, in this situation, you have to wonder where this is coming from. Are these kids in gangs? Is it bad parenting? This isn't really like the past. I don't think it's like the main troubles where you had Catholic and Protestant communities constantly fighting with each other. This is more like just political hooliganism. Um, but that bus that was burned, I don't know how much a bus costs, but it's going to cost a lot to replace. It creates a real mess on the road, the charred remains. But this is the image that's being projected to the world, and it's just sad to see. Boris Johnson's condemned the violence. He said, uh, just bear with me a second. Prime Minister Boris Johnson has said he is deeply concerned about scenes of violence in Northern Ireland. Police were attacked, pepper bombs thrown, and a bus set on fire in another night of disorder in Belfast. The way to resolve differences is through dialogue, not violence or criminality. Well, that's all very well, but these kids, some of them are as young as 13. That's that's just political language. That's for the leaders in Stormont to consider. I'm sure Arlene Foster and her nationalist counterparts will condemn this, but I'm not sure it's just down to politicians. It's also down to parents. It's down to individual communities. Just, putting it on the shoulders of politicians. They're responsible to an extent, but I also think that, You have a 13-year-old son who's throwing a petrol bomb at a bus. What does that say about you as a parent? Now, it might be that they're estranged or they've fallen into the wrong crowd or something, but I really just hope this doesn't escalate. It's just depressing to see. And yeah, there's English cities like Bristol that get their share of rioting. So rioting isn't unique to Belfast within the United Kingdom, but no city is so associated with this sort of thing as Belfast is, and that's really unfortunate. It's almost like it's almost predictable. How long is history going to repeat itself? How long is Belfast going to have to put up with this crap? So I do hope arrests are made. Um, I think in the case of young offenders like a 13-year-old, make them clean up the damage. I think I wouldn't necessarily in that case throw them in jail immediately because they could get radicalized inside in the context of Northern Ireland. But they should definitely pay a price. They should be made to clean up the damage. So the charred remains of that bus, force them to clean it up by hand. Um, that isn't going to be replaced. Belfast City Council has a limited budget, as every other city does. So it's just depressing to see. Um, but like I say, most people in Northern Ireland don't want this. So, people will now be saying, oh, it's the loyalists. I don't know. I'm not interested in that, quite frankly, because when it comes to Northern Ireland, that's a punitive exercise, finger pointing. It's more important that just those responsible are arrested, held to account. Um, and of course, leaders need to condemn it, but honestly, Arlene Foster can say it's awful. So can her nationals counterparts. A 13-year-old with a balaclava isn't going to be listening to them. So, just sad to see. I think I've got one or two subscribers from Belfast, so let me know your thoughts. What triggered it? What's the situation now? Is there fear in the community? I mean, do people think this will escalate? I've heard people say that there could be a return to the Troubles. I personally am not so pessimistic. I think that's hyperbole because the paramilitaries aren't anywhere near as strong, as influential as they once were. You do have a hard core of extremists, but they are perhaps 100 people. It's not like the peak of the Troubles where you had entire communities dragged into the conflict. I really don't think it's like that anymore. So, and granted, I don't live there, so maybe I'm out of touch, but that's my gut feeling, and I think the majority of people want to move on. I'd particularly like to hear from my fellow Ulster people. What do you think of this? Um, as expat, I don't know, as a Northern Irishman who's grown up in England, I look at this and I just feel sad. Honestly, Belfast and Northern Ireland deserve better. Let me know your thoughts.